we'll start with Jackson in Southwest Alabama. What is give me the lay of the land in Jackson. What's cool about Jackson?
Uh, High school football. It's one of the reasons why I come down here. But Highway 43's got a long history, and for those people not familiar with the area, right below us, just about 4 or 5 miles across the river, is what we say is Leroy High School. They're back-to-back state champs. Right up above us in the same system as us is Grove Hill, which is Clark County High School. They won it with Coach Luker about 3 years ago. Thomasville's above them. They just won the baseball championship. At the bottom of 43 Saraland, everybody knows about those. And then at the top of 43 is Demopolis. So just a lot of really good high school football right over in this area. And that's what this area is known for, just as small towns and just really competitive. Just there's some deep-rooted hatred or at least you say sentiment that you got to be aware of down here because, schools like Milry and, even things like Linden, which won it several years ago, they're all small communities that really take pride in their school and their athletics.
Yeah. What's if it's not football season, what's the thing to do in Jackson? Where's the place
it's
to
always
eat?
Football season, but we got good guys down here, just good people where we hunt, we fish. One of the big things that's been big since COVID has been these big rides. So we host a lot of four-wheeler rides and mud rides and but it's small town living. Everybody knows your business before you do. But it's also that same place on a Friday night. Football is where it's at. Everything closes down. Everything kind of revolves around the school. It's really a community type school type place.
Yeah. What does that make like for you? Like, I know you've been there a number of years now, but like expectation wise from the community, is it a high pressure kind of thing?
Yeah, it's off the charts. It's kind of funny because my son just graduated last year. He played defensive end for us, and me and him just had some long conversations about the type of pressure that we've been under because especially like down below us, Leroy won, and so everybody thinks we should win. And we had a good team last year. We got put out in the quarterfinals. Kind of we felt like we got upset by Booker T. So, but it's just one of those things where you want to be a part of this program, and I've been here long enough now where people know that I'm fighting hard for these kids. We're doing things right. So we've been accepted in this community, which makes you feel good, especially from an outsider coming in.
Yeah. What year did you get there?
19. So I come in May of 19. We had one season. So I come in May, followed Danny Powell, which is a Hall of Fame legend, multi-time state champ in baseball and football. And, you're not really supposed to follow a legend, but, they were looking for a change and looking for somebody like me with, I had a young family at the time, and my youngest daughter, she'll be a senior next year. So that was 6 years ago. But we come in that May, and we went through the season, and we were getting ready to kind of put our stamp on it in the off season and really make it ours. And then, of course, COVID hit that spring and just kind of threw everything in a tailspin.
Yeah. How many, since you've been there, how often you're just around town doing whatever and people tell you about that 2011 team that won the state championship?
Well, when I got here in 19 and then into 20, we sat around and we were talking about an all-decade team. And I was like, all right, let's put together an all-decade team because I didn't really know them guys from 11, know of them, know of the record. Jeff Kelly was here and then Danny Powell, and they both had really, really good teams. And Danny won it in 11. But the whole thing was like the guys that we had, like our best players, they's like, no, them guys, they'd be about third or fourth string on that team, coach. And so just listening to knowing what we had then, and then the people comparing it to, it's like, hey, who's the top linebacker? Well, it's got to be this guy off the 11 team, or this guy or that guy. So, we've heard a lot of talk and just but those teams, they had tremendous. It was one of the highlights of Jackson history because people still talk about just the amount of talent we had on the field and the type of players, and they put a lot of guys into college during that time that had good college careers too.
Yeah. What's been your favorite thing about having this job?
For me personally, my wife works here. My oldest daughter, my son, my youngest daughter, they are all involved here, and I just like being a part of this small school community. And we're one of the bigger schools, up 43, because a lot of these schools are now 2As and 1As. But for us, when we first moved here, my kids walked where we lived at. They walked to school. They walked 2 blocks over. They were walking to the junior high. And so it was just kind of special to see my kids thrive here, have impact on the school. I was at Smith Station. I was a DC over there. I worked for Jamie Dubose over at Central Phoenix City. We're graduating 500 kids a class, and both of those schools, kids would get lost, but down here, just personally, I've seen my kids thrive here, and that's made a big impact for me. I was talking to my
Yeah.
dad this past Father's Day and just talking about how all my kids will have graduated from the same high school. And that's not something that all head coaches can say. So I'm just proud of that. And, just personally for me. But then, you know, professionally as a coach, I've heard all these stories about these big time games that over here at what our stadium, Legion Field, uh, and then to be a part of some of them games and have some of those memories. They still tell a game about they were playing. I think it was Thomasville, and there were so many people lined up across the fence that the fence fell over, and then they had to stop the game, and then they just picked the fence up and held it. But it was a big play, and everybody was hollering and screaming, and they knocked the fence over right in the middle of the game. So,
Oh
but
my
we
gosh.
beat Hanley here on the last drive, last play type deal about 2 years ago with Walter Taylor, which is now he's quarterbacking up at Colorado. He signed with Vanderbilt, but he was kind of that big name guy. But just had a really good team that year, and
Yeah.
we was able to upset Hanley here at home, and ended up losing to Viger in the semis. They won it that year,
Wow.
but just one of those memorable games, and that's one where I put my stamp on the Jackson lore because they got a lot of great tradition here.
Yeah. What is it like for y'all? Like Jackson's been a 4A school for quite a while, I think.
Yeah,
Y'all
well,
seem to
they
be.
bounced up to 5A for a little while, but mainly four. Four is what we're known to be at.
Yeah, and y'all are kind of in, at least in this last reclassification, y'all seem to be somewhere in the middle of that daily
Right.
enrollment. What's depth like for you guys compared to some of the teams you play?
So if you look at our schedule coming up, with Fairland and Baker, Demopolis is bigger than us. Even LaFleur down the line.
Yeah.
Depth is every coach this time of year is talking about depth, and they don't have depth, and what you do. But there's just ways to create it, and so for us, one of the ways being at a smaller school to create depth is, of course, having guys on both sides of the ball playing both ways. We try not to play both ways because August 23rd and even today, it's hot, and you can be in the best shape of your life, but it don't matter if you're playing 100 plays a game. It's going to pay. It's going to pay at the end, and you're just not going to be as good. So our whole focus here is playing, especially like linemen, is play as many guys as we can. So we try to get 8, 9 linemen, on both sides of the ball to start, and then as the year goes along, things cool down. Some of our guys they'll jump over and give us more snaps. We had an offensive tackle, Nylan Williams, that played some D line for us last year in the playoffs, which we didn't have to have him all year long, but as the games got bigger, we pulled him over. But then our skill guys, hey, this is a good thing. We put some data recording stuff, and I forgot. Can't think of the name of it off my head, but they tracking data on our guys in the spring game, and we played a half. And our top 2 skill guys, Juicy Gordon, committed to Bama, and Junior Payne they both ran about 5 miles apiece in a half. And so they were playing a little bit
Jeez.
both ways, but man, that's a ton of running to
Yeah.
do. And, it just kind of, it's one of those stats to me that just kind of stuck out about how much they're doing. So for us
Yeah.
to play as many guys as we can, we play some guys early. And then a guy like I said, Juicy Jamarian Gordon, he's going to play on both sides, but he plays corner for us, and then he'll play some slot, and then we got 5 or 6 receivers ready that can step in at any moment, and then we got some corners that can give in and give us some reps. So that's kind of how we just kind of piece it together.
Yeah. How many guys do y'all have coming back? Like, did you have a big class graduate or most
Yeah, well, we
contributors
keep
back?
about I guess about 15 to 18 seniors each year on this team. We draft 9 through 12, so we'll have about 70 on roster. And then, of course, those last 10, there's always something going on with them, whether they're hurt or injured or something, they're hanging on. But, actual starters, our core group of skill players returned. And so that's the main ones that everybody likes to talk about is Landon Duckworth, our quarterback, Jamarian Gordon, EJ Crowell, our big tailback. We got a big wide receiver. We call him Red, Keon Chapman. But those guys are all back, and those were big playmakers. We lost our number one receiver. He signed and went to Kentucky. Tuskegee, and he'll be a big loss, but we got some good young talent coming in, stepping in behind them. Defensively, we kind of lost our front, so we're just putting together a new front. Got a lot of guys that played, but not. We lost several of our big starters, and our defense last year was the best it's been in 20 years since even before the 11 team. We just had record. Giving up points allowed, that type of stuff. So we was really strong across the front.
Yeah, I was looking. Y'all gave up. If what I'm looking at's right, y'all gave up 98 points in 12 games.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's
How
somewhere
how
around 8. Yeah.
like how? I mean, just how?
Yeah. Well, it's not. It's one of those things. Coach David Mosley's our DC. He was the 4A assistant coach of the year. He earned that. But we had a defensive front that had started for about 3 years, and we had 2 interior tackles. Both one of them's going to play at Bethel, but we thought both of them could be college players. They were both about 290, 300 pounds, and they just when they didn't want to be blocked, they just wouldn't be blocked. And then my son played in, and we had another senior in that signed with Tuskegee, and they were just big grown men up front, and then behind them we had a couple of backers that are 100 tackle a year type guys, and he's our main linebacker's back. That's Scooter Laquan Wisenhunt, and he'll have another 100 tackle year again, where he's good in there. But then secondary we had Juicy, which is committed to Bama. He's back there. Junior Payne. That's a coach's son, and he just got offered by Jackson State, so he's a player. And I'm trying to think but they're all just it just all went together. But it started up front for sure.
Yeah, sounds like a lot to look forward to this go around.
Yeah, and so replacing them guys up front's tough. We actually had a guy moved in from Blunt High. He moved in this summer. We call him Country D Williams, but he had played with all our guys in rec league ball. So the group that's coming through right now, the premier guys, they played rec ball together here in Jackson for I don't know, since they were 6 probably. Big credit, shout out to our local youth sports, but they took the guys. They worked with them. They've been together for a long time. They would take them down to Mobile and play them in like the Turkey Day Classic or something. Just kept them all in it. Playing. Matter of fact, one year I was like, man, these guys play more games than we do, and they did. But it's because they love it, and the kids around here we had a baseball coach one year, a new baseball coach, and he's like, "Man, I need these guys playing baseball." And I took a picture from the bleachers, and it was a group of kids playing football behind the dugout, and it's like that's just what they do around here. We play football. Most games, baseball games, you'll see kids playing cup ball or something stick ball, but not our guys. We're playing football. So just kind of what we do and kind of the environment here.
Yeah. How big, like that group you were talking about that grew up playing together? How big of a deal is that now? Like just for their camaraderie, they're playing together, knowing each other's tendencies, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where they grew up in it, and one of the things that for us as high school coaches is saying, hey, look, you're not going to beat teams by being the better athlete because all these teams are going to have good athletes to match you, but we gotta take that next step in your learning and development. But you know we played in the 7-on-7 this summer, and it was against Fairland. And our guys got hyped up because that's our first game of the season, and everybody talks Fairland. They're the talk of the Mobile area. They've had the best team. They've got the best players. They got a really good quarterback. And Landon and Red, our 6'4" receiver, they just first play of the game, he just threw a go ball to him, and he put it in a good spot, and Red goes up and makes the play. But that's them guys being on the same page. Of course, Landon putting a good ball out there, and a 6'4" guy going and getting it always helps. But that they're talking the same language, and right now we just seen them grow this summer, just to where they're working in zones, and they know where they're going to be at. But that them guys have been doing that for a long time, and so I think it just pays dividends, them guys. But that's part of Jackson too. Their uncles played here, their granddaddies played here, their moms cheered here. Everybody, these guys, they're going to be here. They love playing for Jackson. They love playing in that purple and gold, and they grew up that way. So that's also special too.
Yeah. Do you see more of that? Like you mentioned some of the places you've coached at, like at a 4A school, like does it seem, I don't want to say more important, that's not what I'm trying to say, but like do you get that sense about players and families and stuff more at that level versus a 6A, 7A school?
Yeah. So 6A and 7A is where most of my career has been at, and like when I left Central, we were running that thing with 130 players. We had about 15 coaches, and that's the way Coach Dubose, and he taught me a lot of that stuff there. But it was like a small college type feel and atmosphere, and we had built good facilities and stuff. But being here at the 4A level, like we know these kids in rec league. We know they're coming through. We know their families. We know who to trust. We know who to let the kids go work with, who we want them to play for, and all that stuff. And so we have a hand. It's all vertically aligned. And so even now, being here, this going on my 6th year, it's just we know who, like I said, who to trust, but we know who those families and those kids are in the when they start playing. It's like, oh yeah, and that's a kid, and that family, that's a great family, and so it's kind of unique in that way, that where you don't get that feel in I could say when my couple years at Central Phoenix City, we may have knew a couple of the middle school guys, but we didn't know who all of them were. But here we do, and that plays into it. So yeah, if you're talking whatever that traditional mindset in your mind of high school football is, I think it's about 4A, 5A level. You might get it some in the 6A level, but like Thompson up there, they're not doing like this, but they're a really good program, and everybody knows it. But for them, they probably don't know who their 4th grade quarterback is. I wouldn't imagine. We do, and
Yeah.
we know the families, and that kid's played our quarterback for every year moving up through each grade level. So it's
Yeah.
kind of unique. That.
Yeah. No, I've always said like, because I cover when we get to the fall, I'll cover a little bit of 5A, but it's mostly 6A, 7A, just I'm in the Birmingham Metro, so
That's right.
it it is what it is, But learning more and
Kids
more,
moving
you're
and families moving, and
oh, you can't
your
keep up with
roster
a
turned over.
yeah, you can't
Right.
like we can't print a roster, to go cover a game because I'm old school. I'm never gonna sit in the press box. I'm always gonna be on the field. And so, I bring my roster and now I'm like, I print it off and everything. I don't pull it up on Game Changer or pull up anything on my phone. I'm printing it, it's going in my notebook, and now I'm like, all right, I've got my roster. Is this guy still on the team or has he moved? Like
Right.
it's becoming that more and more, and I may have to go to something digital to keep up since that's much more easy to change when these guys move. So, but that 4A 5A seems like such a sweet spot. Like the
Yeah,
more,
I think so because when you get down into the lower levels, you kind of lose some of your maybe your schematics. Your good teams are still going to be good, but I don't know. I got aggravated one year, and I won't say the team, but I was at Beulah, and the team was just punching us right in the mouth, just running right at us, and they were bigger and tougher. And then they got in the gun and they tried to throw a ball, and they short hopped it out there. And it was funny because then they jumped right back into too tight, and then it's like, hey, I'm just tougher than you. And as you go up in classification, especially at the 7A level, I can speak to that because we worked and fought there. But every team's good. Their special teams are good, and they all have 300-pound defensive tackles. They all have 6'4" offensive tackles. And they're going to do things right. And so you really got to be on your P's and Q's coaching at a high level. And the same thing at the high end of all the classifications. But around 4A, 5A, you still got the scheming, and you still got to make sure you're doing everything right. Whereas the further you get down in the classification, sometimes you just overwhelm folks either with speed or size or something, and that's where you see teams make runs.
yeah, no doubt about it. We've talked a little bit about the schedule. Let's really dive into it. So August 23rd at Saraland, right?
Yes.
The next week you get to host Demopolis. We're gonna go non-region first. September 13, travel to Baker. Know the new head coach there, Juan Johnson from Hewitt Trustful. And September 27th at LaFleur. So you've got two 5A schools, a 6A powerhouse, and a 7A school. How'd you come up with that non-region schedule?
All right. So the easy one's Demopolis. We play each other pretty often. We're 4A, they're 5A, but we're similar sister type schools, is what I like to say. Similar makeup, similar background, and just talking with the coaches over there, they were in a region that wasn't very tough, so they wanted to play us early, and it's been a good game for us. We played them my first year here. We missed them a cycle, and then we got back on, and then we renewed it this past time. So it's just a good game for us. Both teams travel well. It'll be a good game, and we match up well with each other's size, speed, that type of stuff. Just a good traditional matchup game for us. Now the Fairland game, the first one of the year, shoot uh, it just kind of worked around Fairland to talk to the town. My principal, he just retired, was Ken Harbuck. He got Jeff Kelly here, and Jeff made a run. I think they lost in the semis, and then Jeff left and went to Saraland, and then Danny come in after that. But so anyway, there's a good relationship between me and Coach Kelly and Coach Harbuck, and then several of our boosters here. We still talk with Coach Kelly, and he does a good job down there. And so it just kind of worked out. They were looking for games. We were looking for games. Nobody was really calling him or us. And so anyway, we got it worked out. He wanted to play week 10. I didn't want to play week 10. I said, if I want to play, I want to play zeros so that we can take our lumps or whatever we're going to do. And, we don't have to stick it in the middle of region play or anything like that. So it's going to be a good game. Coach Harbuck, our principal, old principal, he said he told me that Jackson's never lost to Saraland in football, and I'm like, great. I don't think when y'all first were playing them that they were who they are now. Jeff was building it, and so he's built a good program down there. A lot of respect for them, but they are, kind of especially down here in this side of the state, they are the premier program where everybody looks to and everybody tries to emulate and everything. So our kids they're excited about it. We've already talked about it a lot. We played them in 7-on-7 down at South Alabama 2 weeks ago, and our kids got pumped up about it. So anyway, it's that, I guess what Alabama and some of the other people played in that kickoff classic where they're going to play some big game. And so, especially for me and my philosophy, week 0 of the year, we'll play anybody early. You don't, at the end of the year, we're kind of getting playoff minded. So we ended up with week 10 off, but which works out okay for us. But, Saraland, they played in the finals last year. And then Demopolis, I think they were quarterfinals. Or what did they? Yeah, it was quarterfinals. And then, Baker's a 7A playoff team. We played Baker on and off since I've been here. Just me and Coach Norman had put that game together before he decided to retire. But we play in some middle school games, some JV games. So it's just a good relationship between us. They beat us the last time we played down there. So, and then Coach Juan coming in, I know they're going to be playing some fast football, and he'll have them ready to go. And then with LaFleur, I think it was Coach Jackson just called, and he wanted to play because he wants to test his guys. And for us, we're that team that, he's trying to get our guy, his team to play like, and he wants to play good competition. So he actually called us, and I was like, let's put it together, Coach. So, but we got a good relationship with him too. So he's doing things good down there and trying to do them right and trying to bring that program back to, some relevance.
Yeah, because that program has obviously had its struggles in recent years, and I know how these things, like you just kind of laid out, how these non-region games can kind of come together through proximity, through relationships, through that kind of thing. But
That's right.
is there also for you? Is there some level of testing your guys against a higher classification, or like a Saraland that's obviously been
Yeah.
just
All right.
unreal,
So
that kind of thing?
yeah, and so we have traditionally played Thomasville and Clark County. Those are like traditional rivals. And so when I got here, we had played Thomasville like 105 times straight, and the same with Grove Hill, something like that too. Two of the longest running rivalries in the state. And since I've been here, both of those teams have quit playing us. And it wasn't our end, it was on their end, to the point where Thomasville had they didn't come in the second year of a 2-year contract. They said, we're not coming. And that was a big hoopla, big to do. And so, yeah, would we play Thomasville if they wanted to play us and put them on the schedule? Yeah, we would, because that's just one of those big. I talked a lot at the beginning here where it was one of those community type games where, and it's funny, depending on how long you've been here, different age groups hate different places more. But Thomasville and Jackson at one time were in the same area. And that game was to decide who went to the playoffs. And so if you're kind of 40-ish, 50-ish around here, you hate Thomasville. And if you're kind of 20-ish, 30-ish around here, you hate Leroy, because Leroy was really good. About the same time, Jackson was really good. And so those are some big games between those two teams.
Yeah, I didn't realize how far back this game against Thomasville goes. It goes back to Prohibition.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so, we wanted that game to go. We wanted it to get going. When it fell through, you got to start looking elsewhere. Matter of fact, that was a game that, I just had it penciled in when we were doing scheduling. You don't even think about it. You just, hey, yeah, we're playing that one. And so you're going to try to find, one extra game or something to where we had to find more games. And so, I'll say this, with Saraland, we want a tough schedule. and we like playing Saraland, but kudos to Jeff for playing us because he's the one. They're the final team. They're the bigger school. They're the ones that been on top, and taking a chance playing us. We don't have anything to lose. So it's going to be a good gate game for both of us. Both of the fan bases are pumped up about it. So, just hey, I think it's going to be a good matchup. They've been really tough up front, but you start looking. D-Mop was a game that we had a good relationship with. Like I said, sister school type deal. But picking up Baker and LaFleur, well, it's just where we're just trying to plug games in and trying to find open dates, and we ended up with a 17 region, so we actually matched up with Baker on open dates, and we was like, yeah, okay, not necessarily the game that you want, but we'll play it. Would we rather play a local team around here and make a better gate? Yeah, but when those teams are not playing you, you got to go find those, and that's kind of where we did. Kind of water on the bridge at this point, but would we like to get them old school rivalries back? Yeah, and maybe once some of these Power Five kids graduate, they may entertain it at some point, but I don't think they will right now.
Yeah, that's what I've learned this off season about certain rivalries, long-standing rivalries that have gone away or are going away for the time being. It's all about a current section in time, and
Right.
I'm not a fan personally of those games
Yeah,
going
yeah,
away.
me neither. If I were to cancel the games from my end, I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you from Jackson, for that's for sure. And the same thing, I talked with Coach Hankins, which was the longtime head coach at Thomasville and had won a championship with them. And he's since retired and went over to Mississippi, and we've actually played some with them over there. But uh, he's like, man, if I would have cut that game with Jackson, he said they would have ran me out of town. He said, I don't know. So it was just kind of a unique point in time where kind of the board was in alignment, and the coach and some other stuff, and into canceling that game. So just kind of is what it is now. I'll tell them. I'll tell folks that, hey, we made them quit playing us. I kind of poke the bear a little bit. It's like, yeah, we were so good, we made them quit playing us. But in actuality, the last time we played, it was a 12-6 game. We beat Thomasville up there. So, that game's going to be won. It don't matter what team's good. It's going to be a close game. But, it kind of is what it is now.
Yeah. Well, let's see, y'all are in 4A Region 1. Alphabetically, let's see, you've got Escambia County, you guys, Mobile Christian, Orange Beach, Wade Waldrop now at Orange
That's right.
Beach.
That's right.
Help me, is it Satsuma? How do you say it?
Satsuma.
Satsuma. Yep. St. Michael, led by a certain incredible former NFL quarterback, Philip Rivers, and W.S. Neal. What do you kind of make of the region?
So Mobile Christian won 3A last year. They're really good. They were young the last time we played them, but we battled with them. Coach Cottrell's left, so they'll be tough because they kept their DC and OC, so it ought to be thanks. But we'll see kind of how it is with him being gone. He was kind of the piece that pulled in some of the extra kids and stuff here and there. So, but they'll still be good. They still got a lot of good pieces, and they're coming off a championship. Talking about St. Michael, they're a team that was a playoff team last year. We lost. We were 9-0 at Alabama State, won that one. I think we were 9-0 at South Alabama, 7-7. I'm talking about this summer. We won that one, but we lost one at the first of the summer at West Florida, and that was to St. Michael. Gunner Rivers and that group. Gunner is Philip's son, and he's one of the best ones we've seen this summer. He just threw good balls, and they've got a couple of good receivers that's going to be tough. So they gave us problems last year. We're going to have to, control the line of scrimmage with them. Is kind of the key to beating them. You don't want to get in the shootout with them guys because Gunner, he's good, and he's better because last year he was a true freshman. So he gained about 20 pounds, and he looks good. He's big like his dad is. And
Does he have the
like
same mechanics? So you got that
Yeah,
same
kind of
kind
that
of,
weird kind of sidearm, a
yeah.
little, yeah. He kind of throws it a little bit like that. So, yeah, they're good and they're going to be tough. I expect them to be a playoff team again. Escambia County is a team that's been athletic. We get them early. They signed probably 4 guys last year to college scholarship. Just saying that they've got athletes, and they do every year. Um, WS Neal, they were tough last year. We didn't they were in our region. They dropped down to 3. TR Miller bumped up to 4, and then on this last cycle, Miller bumped back down to 3, and Neal jumped up to 4. So we played them before, um, and we know they're going to be tough. Uh, and then you got Orange Beach with Wade down there. He was at UAB when I was up there playing ball. I think he was GAing up there, so I know him a little bit, and I know he does a good job. And Orange Beach, they got their own issues where they're trying to fight Gulf Shores and the local folks around, trying to get that program. But they're building, all their stuff is coming. And, they got a big new facility being built right now. And so I expect them to be really competitive. And then Satsuma, same thing down there where they've been getting better every year. But, for us, we're kind of the front runner right here in this region. And I'm not saying it trying to pat ourselves on the back. It's that, hey, we got a target each week. So we're going to get everybody's best shot. Our quarterbacks, South Carolina commit. We got a Bama commit. We got a Central Florida commit. We got a running back that's got offers from Ohio State and Texas and Bama. And so, people are going to say, hey, this is what I did against this guy. And so they're going to actually, we were playing St. Michael and they caught a ball over Juicy. They ran by him. He got, busted his covers, whatever, and they scored. And there was a lot of people hollering from their sideline during the 7-on-7 about beating the Bama commit. So, but that's learning lessons for us and as a coach and stuff. It's like, listen, you committed to Bama. Now that's just a target on your back. People want to try themselves against you, and it's like if somebody beats you, they're going to put that on their highlight film. They're going to make it known. So it's just something that we have to handle as coaches and players, and just our staff, community leaders, where we're talking to these guys on a regular basis about, hey, look, you wanted this. You wanted to be a national ranked recruit, and they've done everything to get there. Plus, they're good players, but you also got to be able to handle all the other stuff that comes with it.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to ask you that. Like, you've obviously, like, you've got some dudes on your team. Like, you just kind of went through them. This day and age, with how college football is trending, like, how do you kind of manage that as a high school coach? Like, I'm not saying those guys have egos or anything like that, but they are guys that are about to enter an NIL world, a transfer portal world, a lot more me and a little less we kind of world. How do you kind of manage that with them?
Yeah, well, look, and I try to tell people because it's a kind of a funny balance, but like our quarterback Landon, he's going into his junior year. Me and his mom have a really good relationship, and his I call him his uncle Therese, which is coached him all through rec league. But we communicate a lot. But the actuality right now, NIL money for an SEC caliber quarterback is about $1 million. And so when this kid he wants to graduate in December of his senior year and go ahead and roll, and I'm like, guys, and I'm trying to, just work through. I'm kind of the middleman with our teachers and everybody else, just working on relationships. But I was like, y'all just need to realize that this kid's going to make more money as a freshman quarterback in the SEC than a lot of us are making a career, So it's kind of funny because the kid like Landon, just as an example, he's got a great smile, he's got a great personality, he's silly at times, little ADHD, little hyperactive, So he's great on the field, and sometimes that ADHD don't work well in the classroom. So, but just having them conversations with everybody on a regular basis, and with that conversation, like with EJ, our running back, which is being highly recruited, and Juicy Jamarian Gordon, our Bama commit, it's like you guys know where you want to be, and you have to allow us to coach you hard, and they do, and that's what's been really good is because we coach them, and sometimes we coach them harder than the other guys because too much is given, much is expected, and so we just keep having that communication with them. But that's a credit to their families too. Is they come from good families. In order to be a national recruit, especially this day and age, you got to go to some showcases. You got to go play on some big teams. You got to do that. And so that's what I was alluding to earlier was that, these guys, they wanted to be national recruits and they've done all the stuff. They went to the camps. They went to the showcases. They went to play on these elite teams. And so their names are out there. And but that, again, that's a credit to their family structure and the people around them because it's like, look, in order to be that national recruit, somebody had to get you there, and they did. And so now we're kind of on the other side of it. It's like, look, you still got to do this work because, landing's easy, quarterback position. It's easy to talk about, but it's like, look, some of these schools don't like you because they like another style quarterback. And, you want to be the best quarterback in the nation. And so we're looking at other guys in this class. We've had these conversations with these guys, which is kind of unique because you don't have that with your 200-pound right guard. We still need that right guard to play. And we're going to coach him hard. But, Landon, he's sat in this office a lot, and we've had a lot of conversations about it. But I think that's it, just that regular conversation with these guys about kind of who you are, how you need to carry yourself, not having bad days. And even when you're not having your best day, people are still looking at you. So there, a lot of those conversations have been had. And we just coached up our staff on it too. Just about just keeping that, the important thing, team, and just talking that a lot. So, I mean, even today, we're working on stuff like communication right now. So we're in the off season. So I bring in my seniors and I bring in those top guys, and I'm like, listen, I know you top guys are not seniors, but everybody's listening to you, and y'all got to communicate. And so we made them stand up in front of everybody and talk, and they're still kids, and that's the thing. Yeah. But I think probably the biggest thing is that they allow us to coach them hard. Of course, we wouldn't have it any other way, but there's got to be two sides to that. So these are good kids, good families, and we just keep working at it.
That's awesome. No, that well said. All starts with communication, no doubt about it. I'll get you out of here on this one. I've been asking every coach just to wrap things up. What are you looking forward to the most about this fall in particular?
This is something that I learned from Coach Dubose when I worked under him. I got a couple of mentors. Mark Rose was a big mentor to me. He had a lot of success up at North Jackson, and then we had some good runs at Smith Station when I worked for him over there. But and then Jamie Dubose. But Coach Dubose, he always said that at the beginning of each season, there's a couple of teams that have a legit shot to win the championship, like a legit shot. Everybody talks about it. That's everybody's big goal, he said. But the reality of it is, he said, there's only 3 or 4 teams that really have that big shot. And we were at Central Phoenix City at the time. We had some really good teams, and it was us, it was McGill, it was Hoover. Thompson wasn't quite on the in that picture quite yet. They were coming. Matter of fact, I think Central beat Thompson to win their first one, and then Thompson beat Central to go on that 3-year run. But that was right after I left. But kind of with us is to see, going into this fall is, hey, we have those high expectations, and I just want to see it work around, see it come to fruition. We talked about a couple of these big guys, and we got several guys with some offers. Our O-line, our best leaders on the team are both O-linemen, and that's kind of the heartbeat of your team. But, just trying to get back because, look, we got upset in the third round last year against Booker T, and not discrediting them. I just thought we were the better team, but they beat us, and that just leaves some longing there as a coach. Those losses eat at you, and so just to get out, actually, just to get back out there and get to playing again, and kind of get that taste that we had to just eat for a whole off season. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to, because we got a chance to be really good, and we're taking all these steps to make sure our guys are eating right, sleeping right, communicating, but that's the same thing that all the good coaches do. Where we're a little bit different is that when there's a play that needs to be made, we got a couple of guys that can make it, and that's what kind of separates people. Separates some teams is we got some real dudes, and so but teams win championships, and kind of like, and I know because they're on our schedule, but Saraland lost a heartbreaker last year in the finals, and Ryan Williams, he was man, he was the best guy on the field.
I was on the sidelines. It was wild.
Look, I mean, we're watching that film from last year because we played them first game, but it's like, dude, he just ran by guys, and of course KJ was great too, and we'll have to see KJ Lacey, the quarterback, again. But like, man, Ryan Williams, he did some things that just people don't do. But then they lost, and that's a credit to Clay Chalkville, because Clay Chalkville has some dudes too now. And not taking anything from them, but it's a combined effort, and that's where that's what we're selling to our guys right now. But looking forward to this fall. Just going back to your original question, is just getting back out there, getting playing, because I know we got a chance to be good. In order to win championships, things have to kind of bounce your way sometimes, and you got to stay injury free and a lot of that stuff. But we're not thinking about that right now. It's summer, everybody's got high hopes, and we're looking. We were just talking about it here earlier before I come on about just that Friday night, because there was some conversation about moving our game to a Thursday night, so we're the only game in town. And I talked with Coach Kelly on it some, and he's like, "Listen," he said, "we're going to sell this place out, Coach." He said, "They're not going to be a seat anywhere. We don't have to worry about moving the game. People are coming to our game," and I agreed with him. And so that's a big game, a good way to kick off the season, kind of see where we're at. And but just getting back out on the field and watching these guys do what they do best, and be good football players. So we're just excited for that. Get back to it. Smell of grass and the Friday night lights, and something cooking on the grill, and the band playing. When you start hearing that big bass drum playing, then it's getting closer and closer. So
it's getting real.
That's what I'm excited about.
That's right. Well, I appreciate it, Coach. Thank you for coming on and talking about it. Hopefully, now that Tuscaloosa and Auburn are out of the rotation with the college football playoff, hopefully y'all will find your way up here to Birmingham here the week or so after Thanksgiving, and get to see you guys in person.
Yeah, hey, that's the plan. Our basketball team won the championship this past year, 2024. Landon and Red, our quarterback receiver, played on that team. A couple other football guys, and then we won 4x1 state track. State track event. A lot of them guys, same guys, were on that thing, and so they said, "Coach," but after the basketball, they said, "Coach, we're coming back up here this fall. We're going to play up here." And they said it. I wasn't proud of anything. It's like, "Coach, we're going to be back up here this fall," and so. We got it circled on our calendar. Told them nobody to make plans for Thanksgiving, because y'all gonna be eating Thanksgiving dinner with me, and that's what our goal is. So we're excited, and look, Protective Stadium, that's a nice place to be at up there too. So hate we're losing Auburn and Bama, but that's still we're gonna be in some good facilities. Our state association is gonna take care of us too. So
absolutely, thanks. Yeah, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate you. It was a lot of fun getting to know about Jackson, the community, and Jackson football, and definitely be following along this fall.
Yeah, thanks, and go Aggies.
There we go. Love it. Appreciate you, Coach.
Thanks.